In this video, I will show you how to do product research for woven blankets and then create your own bestsellers using AI and Photoshop. Let's jump right in. All right, so first we go ahead and validate both the product and the niche on Etsy. A big mistake that many new sellers make is not doing any product research before they design, and you're just wasting time. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So the idea behind that is to go first to Etsy to find existing products already being sold to existing customers. I might fancy creating a orange traffic cone woven blanket, but if I go to Etsy and I type that in, I will notice that there's no such thing. There's no market for it. Therefore, I'm not going to waste my time by creating it. So for example here, I notice there's tons of bestsellers in this fantasy niche. Lots of bestsellers, lots of results. Looks like we found a little niche there. We want to find both the product and the niche, both, before we start trying something, right? So we don't say, oh, look, I found a best-selling t-shirt for plumbers. Therefore, I'm going to make woven blankets in the plumbing niche. That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to make any sales, okay? There's a very good reason why certain niches and work with this product, right? So fantasy readers, they want to lie under the blanket at night, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's why it works. So it works. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We're just going to look at the data and go from there. For woven blankets, nature works, fantasy niche works, reader blanket works, okay? So do your own research and find your own designs and ideas there. So let's create something similar to this one. It's clearly doing well with tons of reviews and 20 plus views in the past 24 hours, so that's pretty good. All right, so we move on to step number 2, which is we sent this design idea to Gemini or ChatGPT. So there's a few ways to create these designs with AI. You can, for example, screenshot the thing that you've seen on Etsy and then go from there. Or you can also just work from a prompt from scratch as well. So for example, here, a fantasy landscape in the style of a woven medieval tapestry, glowing castle in a valley, a river, and a dark forest, high contrast, dramatic lighting, vertical orientation. Now, it also helps if you give them both a screenshot and some text. For example, this one, create a similar dark fantasy blanket for this design, deep, rich colors and strong contrast, dramatic lighting, and again, vertical orientation. So you get something like that. Right, so that is way too similar. And you should be a little bit more creative than what I was here, obviously. But thankfully, ChatGPT comes with some suggestions, so you can choose from those here as well. And this is just going to depend on your design, and you can find your own workflow here. It's not an exact science. So I want a bit more color, so I'm going to reprompt this one last time. There we go. That's much better. So I upload this thing to Canva, and notice that the edges are cut off, right, at the top and the bottom. So we need to fix this in Canva Magic Expand. This won't always be the case, of course. So it's just in this type of specific instance where I notice it. So I'll just show you how to fix it. It probably won't happen for you. There we go. Something like this is fine. Just save that as a PNG. Step number 3. So in Photoshop, we save this as a 1200 by 854 pixels JPEG. Now we have the print file, but it's way too small. So we need to create a much, much larger file that can be printed on a blanket, which is a large item, right? It's like 60 by 80 inches. So now you cannot simply increase the size of this thing and just stretch it out. yeah, that's not going to work. Now, I thought for a minute that it could work because a woven blanket is woven, right? So you don't even see the detail. So why can't you just stretch it out? And I found out why it doesn't work that way. So the weaving machine software, it analyzes your JPEG pixel by pixel to create a map of which color thread to stitch in which spot. So when you save the JPEG as a low quality, you basically create JPEG artifacts like fuzziness, noise, basically, right? And the weaving software cannot tell the difference between your design and the JPEG artifact, so it will faithfully and carefully weave every single artifact. So the blurred pixels from stretching out a tiny image into the large canvas that you need for print file, it's just gonna, those blurred pixels are gonna be woven into whatever it thinks the color should be. It's just gonna be, it's not a good idea. So don't do that. There we go to step number 4, which is upscale these using a AI software. So we need to upscale the images. Thankfully, there are AI tools that can do this for us. The simplest way is just to Google AI image upscaler. There's plenty of tools out there, but there's a few disadvantages. You don't have that many customization options, and it's also like a lot of ads. You might run into limits, etc. So the best way that I have found to do this is to download a software called Upscale. A link is in the description. It's a free software for on your computer. Once installed, just open it and import our little file here. Now, the best model I found for these type of images is this one called Remockery. However, it's a non-commercial, so you will have to find out which one works best for you. Set this to 3x upscale with double upscale enabled. So as you can see from the bottom, the results will upscale from 1200 by 854 pixels to 10,800 by 7686 pixels. And that's going to be our large print file. So, and then in settings, make sure you select JPEG and then click upscale. All right, step number 5 is open those 3 Photoshop templates. So now we have our a little file that's large enough. So let's go to Printify. There we go. Open the woven blanket product and you'll see the download design template button. Click on that and you will get a zip file. Now unzip that and you'll find 3 PSD files in there, and that can be opened in Photoshop. Now each one is for a different size blanket, so open them one by one or just all at once in Photoshop and just drag and drop that large JPEG in there. Now make sure it's not beneath the help layers, of course, and then export as a JPEG. You do the same thing for all the other sizes, and you can resize the print file by holding Shift while dragging the corners. All right, so save all 3 of them as JPEGs, and you now have your 3 print files for the 3 different blanket sizes. Step number 6 is to upload to Printify. So yeah, we go to Printify, we select the variants button, enable all 3 sizes for artwork, and then disable the photo ones because we don't need that in this case. Click the make a specific design and then upload all 3 designs for those variants. All right, now on the next screen, you'll notice a really, really disappointing preview image. Now you can just ignore this because this is not how it actually is going to look like. It's just that Printify hasn't set any proper lifestyle mockups for this product, but this is not what it's actually going to look like, thank God. Otherwise, it would be pretty much impossible to make these. So yeah, you can either upload your mockups on this screen or do them in Etsy. Now I prefer doing them in Etsy later. Now, this is a design tutorial, so we're not going to focus on keywords that much, but for simplicity's sake, let's just put the original listings title into Printify here. Something like that. Now, set your price to something better, so you can do something like $79.99, $99.99, and $109.99. It's just an example, and then you would run some discounts on that. That's a healthy margin for these. Now, this is not a pricing video, so we can discuss margins and whatnot in another video. For now, I'll set just these. So just save this and publish it to Etsy. All right, so step number 7 is to create the mockups. Now, We need some mockups and some other images for our Etsy listing. And I recommend you purchase the Creatsy woven blanket bundle, which is this one. This is the exact product that we are selling. So yeah, these templates are pretty good. And in my view, this is the industry standard for proper POD woven blanket mockups. You can also use AI, so I'll show you both, but the Creatsy mockups are just the best one I found, and it also simulates the shadows and the lighting, etc. So yeah, first let's try using AI only. We just go to Gemini, use the Nano Banana, and just try to prompt this freely while uploading the design. So the problem with this mockup, and oftentimes with AI mockups for this product, is that this is not our product, right? So it's too small. It doesn't have those colorful fringed edges. It just looks a bit weird. Now you can prompt engineer this a little bit more to work for you. So you can try it if you like. I prefer the Photoshop one, so this is how you do that. So just open Photoshop and click on the layer mask thumbnail. Then drag and drop your design. Hold the Shift key to easily rotate and resize, and then click Close and Save. And then you export it as a JPEG. So now you have a proper mockup that can be zoomed into, and it still looks great because this is our actual product with realistic lighting and shadows. So you do this for all of this of the different mockups. All right, so let's also use Gemini to create a simple info chart. I actually recommend you make one yourself in Photoshop or Canva, because then you only need to do it once for all of your woven blanket products. But for now, we'll just use this for simplicity's sake. Yeah, so, not bad. I also suggest you include a size chart. That's a bit more tricky to make with AI, so I do suggest you buy one on Etsy. They're like $5 or something like that, and you only need to buy it once. All right, so that's about it for this design tutorial. Now you can create blanket designs with AI, upscale them, and turn them into woven blankets. So you can list these on Etsy, Amazon, eBay, and other marketplaces, and of course on your own Shopify store as well. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any requests or would like to see anything such as a design tutorial or anything else in regards to Etsy print on demand, just let me know in the comments below. I do read them. I also offer one-on-one Etsy coaching or print on demand Etsy coaching. Check the link in the description below if that's something that interests you. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.